going to be able to get, half. You're not going to be able to half. Uh, you're not going to be able to half-ass it with Kelvin Shepherd. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing I do like. Keep somebody that's well liked in the locker room, well respected. Not so much liked, but respected. You know what I'm saying? Kind of the same philosophy, the same. I do think continuity is to be had. I mean, look at Philly, how they had to kind of rebuild their trust within the locker room, within the coaching staff. So I do think it's something to that. You know what I'm saying? Even though you're a good team, even though you have, if you Dan Campbell, you change the culture, but yet and still, you still want the right coaches, you know what I'm saying, and the right, mentors, and guys that's leading this team that the players respect. You know what I'm saying? So hats off to Kelvin Shepherd. I thought it was a good job by the organization. You know what I'm saying? And then it shows, by them keeping Hank Franklin around. You know what I'm saying, that what I mean, that they do promote within, and this is a destination that other coaches can see. Even if you start from the bottom, you can get promote. Now, the only thing about it, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Walt. I don't know if you heard anything with Scotty Montgomery. Is he still a running backs coach for now? I mean, I didn't check the roster.
Um,
Um,
I know Fraley got a little bit more put on his plate for Stan. I know he's not a run game coordinator, which is
mhm,
completely different from being a running backs coach. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think it was huge to keep Hank or somebody else around, and Hank is key. Hank is key to the offensive line,
yeah,
and who's better at unlocking the running game? I would think than an offensive line coach,
yeah,
for the most part. So, and I agree. I think the Kelvin Shepherd promotion was needed. It shows good measure also around the rest of the league that okay, you know what, you can come here and you won't be here just to be a linebackers coach for 8 years, unless that's ultimately what you want to be.
yeah,
And it's gonna come. What's gonna come down to not even so much the X's and O's. It's about being able to maintain that rule, maintain the defense, maintain all these different temperaments. Be able to gauge when you're riding these guys a little too much, knowing when to kind of pull on the reins when you need to, and not wearing thin. Because that's one thing I've noticed about defense coordinators. Those defensive coordinators who do become head coaches, and this is going to be a big hill for Aaron Glenn to climb, I think. Defensive minded head coaches, defensive coordinators who become head coaches, they have a tendency to get burnout quick with their teams
hmm
because defensive minded head coaches, they only know how to do things one way, and that's the defensive way, and that's hard, fast effort all the time, intensity. And that's not really the way you can do an entire team consistently all the time. But you mentioned it in the pre-show.
hmm
People are kind of like trashing Aaron Glenn already, and I don't want this to show to turn into anything about Aaron Glenn and those boys. But
hmm
I think it's unfair to say that this man who has his own identity, been around the league, coaching wise, scouting wise, has actually accomplished more in that realm than Dan Campbell has. To say that this man is trying to go somewhere and be somebody else, I think is very disrespectful to him and everything he's worked for,
yeah,
the reputation he wanted to build for himself that ultimately he did construct now. And just knowing like the player he was, the man he is, why can't he just be genuinely being himself?
hmm
Like when he said, hey, we're the effing Jets or whatever. Oh, that's something Dan Campbell would have said. Well, you know what? That's something probably 70 other head coaches would have said in their first presser, what I'm saying, trying to get the fans fired up. Uh,
yeah,
I wish Lions fans, man, our Lions fans that's here right now watching us, they know exactly what kind of content they like and they want and they search it out. And I just wish that we would kind of lay off of this stuff, man. I mean, some Lions fans are coming across as like the scorned ex-girlfriend.
hmm
You got left, and now you want to keep going through photos. You want to keep checking on social media to see what she's doing or see what he's doing or whatever. You want to make fun of everything. let it go.
Yeah.
Listen, we got the East Shrine Bowl coming up this week. We got the Senior Bowl this weekend.
Yeah.
That's what Lions fans should be focused on right now, not
Yeah.
what Aaron Glenn got going on with the Jets, Ben Johnson with the Bears,
Yeah.
comparing Josh Allen and his failures to Jared Goff's failures, and they're both. We need to be focused on what we got going on tonight for these people.
Yeah. We got a new OC too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I
I
think
don't know
Rick,
much about
I
him.
think
I
Rick
ain't gonna
just
front.
yeah, I did see that, he coached Anquan Bolden, Randy Moss, Michael Crabtree, and those are just 3 receivers that I noticed in the article. And they all had 1,000 yards. His last tenure with the Jets, I think it might have been 2017 or 18, correct me if I'm wrong. And they were 24th in the league in scoring, which was only like under 19 points a game. So, and then he's currently working under Sean Payton, if I'm not mistaken, with the Broncos. And you know how I feel about the Broncos. Love the way they what they did with Bo Nix. I thought they handled him really well this year. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you said, it's a big question mark. I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I know, the ins and out of the mind of John Morton. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to compare him to Ben Johnson because I don't think that's fair. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, talking about Aaron Glenn. You talk about John Morton, new OC. You got anybody who's going to sit here and say, "Oh, he's not Ben Johnson." You don't know. Okay, don't try to act like you know because you don't. None of us knows. What we can say is this. I'm gonna say this. Remember when Anthony Lynn was offensive coordinator under Dan Campbell? Campbell was quick to take that position away. Okay, and ultimately give Ben Johnson the reins after Anthony Lynn. And trust me, I think that Campbell is not the type that sits back and just lets stuff fester if it's not working. And put it that way. So I think, it's interesting that they didn't discuss. They didn't put the terms out there like for 3 or 4 years or something like that. They didn't say how long it would be for. And I think that's key. I think Lions fans need to just keep that in mind. I mean, I don't think if it's working, I don't think that they're going to, sit back and just let this offense just deteriorate. I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think they can afford to. I mean, these are like very vital times now. This is year 5.
Yeah.
Me and you've been preaching year 5 since last year. Year 5 of the rebuild. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
The rebuild started off kind of rough the first year and a half. Since the first year and a half, we kind of been coasting, getting better and better with every game, with every season.
Yeah.
But now we're in a situation where we're kind of in uncharted waters because we lost both the coordinators. We losing positional coaches. We losing this guy, that guy. This word came out today that Tanner Engstrand could be gone as well. We got players. We're going to lose a bunch of rotational guys who do help out, who did actually help out in this playoff run down the stretch. So we got a lot going on. We got big contracts to hand out to 2 safeties coming up in the next couple years. We got to make Aiden Hutchinson the highest paid defensive player in football, more than likely. That's just the way it goes, the pecking order.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams. So we got a decent amount of things to be concerned about.
Yeah.
On top of all that, we got to be concerned about bringing in free agency the right people in here. Year 5 of the rebuild, you got the culture in place. All of your core players have been born and bred into this. So that's not anything that you got to be concerned about. But who do you bring into this? You don't want to bring anybody in that could potentially poison what's going on, especially going through a transition like we're going through right now.
Bingo. Well, you could, man, you lockstep in what I was thinking. I mean, and I think Dan Campbell, if you look at the resume of John Morton, Dan Campbell's super familiar with John Morton. Okay. It's not like he's getting a guy as a wild card that's going to go rogue on him or a vigilante out there that just, like a Rex Ryan type to just say anything, do anything. I don't think that's the case. You know what I'm saying? I think I just read John Morton's from here too. If I'm not mistaken, I think Rochester Hills. I think he's from Rochester. So I think, he just wants to be able to have some continuity, and I think that's huge, man. I do, and I think that Dan Campbell. Listen, this is a part where that this is part of being a head coach too. You know what I'm saying? Assembling the right guys, not just players, but coaches. Like you,
Build,
know,
rebuild, build again, build
yeah,
again. Yeah, it's if you get the opportunity, if you're lucky enough, you get to see 3 or 4 rebuilds.
that's right. That's right. And I'm not. Hey, and like I agree with 313 fun. I'm salty too, man. I am. I ain't gonna lie. Everything with Philly, I hate the 76ers. I hate the Flyers. I hate the Phillies. I hate Washington. I hate the Nationals. I hate the Commander. I'm just the Wizards. I am, man. I'm salty about the whole damn thing. You know, just the way it ended. And let's be honest, I don't think we would have beat Philly. Okay, I don't. I think the way Philly played. Listen, I sat here on this airwaves and I said I didn't think that Philly had enough offense to go to the Super Bowl and win, but boy was I wrong. They look good, man. You know what I'm saying? They really did. I gotta give them credit, and KC gonna have their hands full. You know what I'm saying? Am I gonna watch the game? Of course. I mean, I've watched every Super Bowl. I'm a football fan. I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl, man. I was typing this conversation
Me
with my
too.
coworkers
I ain't gonna
today. You
like
know what
it
I'm
though.
saying? Yeah, I mean, I'm
I'm
salty
gonna sit
about it.
there
I'm gonna watch
frowning.
it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it with my Lions jersey on, my face frowned up. But you know what I'm saying? It's just yeah, just like that, right? When Michigan lost TCU, same thing, man. Yeah, because I just feel like the opportunity was there. This is why I'm salty. Okay, I feel like the opportunity was there. The opportunity would never probably present itself the way it did, like on a silver platter. I mean, you had the steak, you had the mashed potatoes, you had the vegetables, dude. You had the cold beverage. You had the what you call it, the white bib. You had all that. You had it all. You had the gloves so your hands don't get dirty. You had everything laid out. Okay. You had the right music, the right tone, the right set, and have a beautiful dinner, man. And it totally came and just like knocked the table over. It's crazy how the whole thing just didn't come to pass like we thought. But you know what? I do think it just goes to show. I don't think you need home field advantage to go all the way and win the Super. You don't. You know what I'm saying? I really do think you got to have a little bit of luck. Health wise, you got to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter where you play, Walt. I don't care if we played all 3 games on the road. That's and better days are coming. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the Lions are the new Pittsburgh Steelers or the new 49ers for that matter. You know what I'm saying? Teams that just are good, but they're not going to win. You know what I'm saying? And go all the way. It's a tough pill to swallow, but the show must go on. You know what I'm saying? Long story short. I mean, yeah. I'm pumped about the draft because I think this team has an opportunity here to really get better. To get better in just a couple areas, man, where I think it will make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Look how great Philly drafted, man. You know what I'm saying? And they're right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to get
I
like
think
you
that
would
kind
just
of rubs it in. That kind of makes me salty too. I just want to talk
yeah,
about being salty because
yeah,
watching Philly did the same thing we did. They
yep,
but spent their first 2 picks on DBs.
yeah,
Say
yep,
just like we did. Both of their DBs look like potential Pro Bowl, all
yep.
pro type of players. Even Cooper DeJean, and I wasn't high on Cooper DeJean at all.
You wasn't.
They
I
found a
was, but you
spot,
wasn't.
but they found a
Yeah.
spot for him. I didn't think he was a boundary corner, and he's not. They put
Hmm.
him in the nickel. They do a lot of different things with him. They use him as a weapon, almost like a Brian Branch type of player for them. Quinyon Mitchell
Yep.
had one of the greatest rookie seasons for a corner
Yeah,
we've
he
ever
was
seen.
great. Great.
And our corners are kind of like the first 2 corners we drafted are kind of like up in the air. But yeah,
Yeah.
how can I talk about this, man? It happens.
Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I
Jalen
mean,
Carter
listen,
is the guy I think, and I heard Braylon Edwards talking about it today. I think it was yesterday or today with Ryan Armani, and they was right, man. And they was talking about like should we took Jameer Gibbs over Jalen Carter. It was a good discussion, and trust me, I'm not here to say this guy or that guy. But boy, I remember me and you banging the table over Jalen Carter, man. You know what I'm saying? I wanted Jalen Carter. And this is the thing. You know, we draft Titus Young back in the day where we knew it was a red flag and we took a chance, drafted him, didn't work out.
He was a hell of a player when he played, though.
Yes, he
Titus
was.
made a lot of plays. Like he was the perfect complement to Calvin.
That's right. That's right. And I think sometimes, even though Brad Holmes didn't make that pick, that's
of
number
course
one.
not.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't make that pick. But what I'm saying is, I think sometimes we get scared and we say, "Oh, well, this guy's going to be a problem." And you know, and trust me, I think if people would have seen all the stuff going on with Jameson Williams, he pretty much had a squeaky clean college. I didn't hear any antics going on in college, but I think that we would have had a lot of people not want to take Jameson Williams. They would have killed Brad Holmes for taking Jameson Williams when they did, if they would have known, you know what I'm saying, in hindsight, what he's been through right now at this stage of his career. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, that's the only thing. I do think that this draft, man, is going to be paramount, like you said, because this year 5. I mean, really, and to have 2 division titles staring us in the face right now. I heard a couple media outlets said this yesterday, and they was right. I mean, right now, okay, the division is good, right? But now we want to keep winning. We want to bring this thing. We want to stretch it out a little more. Look at Joe Burrow, man. Joe Burrow had a great, probably the best statistical season.
Him man is number 1.
Yeah, and their team fell short. They didn't make the playoffs, bro. You know what I'm saying? So. Excuse me, because they don't have enough around him, and they back to the drawing board again. You know what I'm saying? So, I think they fired their DC in Cincinnati, and it's like, man, turnover happens every year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Each team, our team's gonna be different. Let's get to the free agents. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's gonna be key how the landscape of this team moving forward. You know what I'm saying? What's gonna happen, and the draft too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm glad that you seen it. 313 and fun. He's seen it because it's honesty. Yep. I think we breed the honesty. We plead for everybody to be honest on this show. And I don't think in our current state we would have beat the Eagles either. Now we talking, like I was telling somebody earlier, if we talking about a healthy Detroit, man for man, Hutchinson. And granted, you know, you can't guarantee that's going to happen week 19 of the NFL season ever.
Yeah.
But, you know, man for man, if we're healthy, I think, we match up really damn well with Philly. And I feel like we could have won to Philly and won. Yeah. But if you look at the current state we were in at that point in time, and I just look at how the Eagles, not the Eagles, but the Commanders' offensive line isn't anything to write home about. And they consistently got to the second level on our linebackers. Like, how many carries did you see Eckler and Brian Robinson get where they got past the line of scrimmage before they were even touched?
Yeah.
And Philly was dedicated to it. And you and I talked about that all season. Even though we felt like Philly wasn't dynamic enough passing the ball wise, we knew that they were strong enough and tough enough and, mentally tough enough defensively. But we knew that they knew exactly who they were. They were going to run the football. So I agree. I think if you look at the current state we were in, just being honest about it, I think if we would have managed to get past Washington, Philly might have smashed us too. Just considering the current state that we were in at that point in time. Exactly. But like I said, pound for pound, if we're healthy, we got Aiden out there. We got Aleem out there. We got Carlton out there. Yeah.
Marcus Davenport.
Barnes. Yep. Yeah, now we talking about, we talking a different story. But
Malcolm Rodriguez out there making plays. It's a different story, man. Period. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved to see, full strength against full strength. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
That could be true.
You're right. Just Hutchinson and Lehman. I agree with that, man, because those two guys are difference makers, in my opinion. So,
hey, before we get into the free agency right quick, though, I do want to touch on the roster real quick. Just to look at what the final roster was looking like at the end of the season. So we talk about wide receivers on the roster.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Allen Robinson, Tim Patrick, and Khalif Raymond. So that's the final depth chart for wide
Hmm.
receivers. Looking kind of skinny there.
Yep.
Tackle wise, you talking about Taylor Decker. We got some concerns about him. Dan Skipper, Giovanni Manu, Panay Sewell, or Kobe Sourcedahl. Got
Yeah.
issues there, concerns there.
Yeah.
Guard is where it gets kind of dicey. You talking about Kevin Zeitler, who's up free agency. He's a 35-year-old vet. Christian Mahogany, who's kind of nipping at his heels right now to be the starter next season. Frank, who's getting up in age. Michael
Yeah.
Neese, Graham Glasgow. He's another polarized name around here. And then, of course, Coyote Awasika. Tight ends, Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra. Quarterbacks, Jared Goff, Hendon Hooker, Teddy Bridgewater. Even though I'm pretty sure Bridgewater won't be the third quarterback next season at all.
Nope.
Could he be on the roster? Not the roster, but could he be actually on the coaching staff? That's a possibility. And right now, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Craig Reynolds is one of only two restricted free agents that we have right now. Offensively, where do you think? And we're gonna get into the offensive line, of course. So everybody knows, me and you know, the offensive line has its issues.
Yeah.
How content are you with the wide receiver position? Because I know, we
I'm
know what
not.
St. Brown is. He's a rock.
I'm not.
We, Tim Patrick, Khalif
Hmm.
Raymond,
Yep.
Jameson Williams.
Yeah. Good question. I'm not content. I would absolutely love to bring Tim Patrick back if the market says so. I don't think so. I think Tim Patrick going to get some money. You know what I'm saying? He played exceptional. Not that he would be the answer. I still would be drafting a receiver. Listen, this is a good receiver draft. Just a couple guys. I mean, I would love Tez Johnson from Oregon. I would love both Texas boys, Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden. I like both them guys. Just to throw it out there. But yeah, well, we need to. For me, the ideal thing would maybe draft a guy, bring Tim Patrick back, and then possibly bring a guy late round to see if he make the roster. That type of thing. I would scour the free agent route, but I think it's enough talent in this draft, man, where you don't have to go crazy and take one early. I think Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden, them the two guys I got circled on. Obviously Ibuka, but Ibuka probably won't be there when we were looking. But yeah,
Yeah.
we have to bolt to that. I think low key, well, we got to get it tied in. Another one. I think Sam Laporta's good, and don't get me wrong, I love Sam Laporta, but I think we do need another guy to stretch the field, another pass catching tight end that can get open. I think Sam Laporta's great when he's wide open and is no one around him. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's that physical type, you know what I'm saying, that can mush somebody in the head and then get open like that. I think Sam Laporta is good. He's good off blocks. He don't stick on blocks. He can't find a space and get open. But I think we need to go maybe the Green Bay route where they got Tucker Kraft and the other guy, Musgrave. Maybe run a lot of two tight end sets. That's all. I mean, because I think I've had enough of the Shane Zylstra experiment. Me, I like Brock Wright, but it may be time. Brock Wright can do one thing, man, block. I mean, he does the dirty work, but I want somebody that could stretch the field a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. So in the passing game.
No, I agree. I think, I'm looking at this dog. Just why are you just scratching the couch?
Yeah,
Macho, stop.
he know you on live podcast, man. He like, hey, jealous.
Thank you. Clowning for no reason. All right, back to this. I think when you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, we know exactly what he is. He's not going to run a lot of verticals. He's not going to run a lot of deep intermediate routes. He knows exactly what his route tree is. They know exactly how to utilize him, or at least Ben Johnson for that matter. We'll find out this season coming up, but Ben Johnson knew exactly how to utilize him. Jameson Williams is still a deep threat, straight line speed. He's still a wide receiver getting polished in the making. Khalif Raymond has never really been a number 3. I think he's more of a gadget guy that does have speed, and if you get him out in space, he can make some plays. Tim Patrick is almost a tight end hybrid. He's 6'5", and he's a possession guy. What I would like to see is something similar to what they had. What was the kid name from Illinois that they had in training camp? The little 5'8" wide receiver,
Oh,
Isaiah
Isaiah
Williams.
Williams, yeah.
I would like to see somebody a little bit more shifty, explosive, catch and run guy. I like Jimmy Horn Jr. Honestly, from Colorado. I
Yeah.
like him. I think he's now if you can get past the injury, because he does have a little injury history.
Yeah,
He's been looking like the best wide receiver at the East-West Shrine practice. All the Colorado receivers have looked really good. Will Shepard as well, but he has looked like one of the best. He looks like he doesn't belong there, and that's what I think you look at these bowl game practices for. You're looking for the guys that you feel like shouldn't be here, and they view the guys who play at like the Hula Bowl or the guys that play at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Those are the guys that get viewed as not good enough to be at the Senior Bowl. And that's not the case. Like I said, I think a guy like Jimmy Horn Jr. about 5'10", maybe 5'11". We're gonna find out soon at the combine. I expect him to run somewhere in the low 4.3s. Honestly, maybe high 4.4s.
Yeah.
And he catches everything. He can leap. He's physical. He's tough. Dion vouched for him. Shador vouched for him, for that matter. And he's a guy right now that a lot of people have a 3rd round grade on. But we got a 3rd round compensatory pick. If he's a guy that's around at that point in time, and you feel like the value's there, I do think Jimmy Horn Jr. is a guy that probably could be evaluated and taken.
Yeah, I kind of like I like Jimmy Horn. I like Bond better, man. I like Isaiah Bond from Texas.
Why? Because he played at a bigger school?
I just think that Isaiah Bond comes from a pro style offense, runs a 4.2. I can't wait to see him run in the combine. 5'11", 180. So I'm the same build as Jimmy Horn. You know what I'm saying? So, just go back and forth. I mean, Matthew Golden is a little bit bigger and a little bit slower, but I think we need a little bit more speed on that. Like you said, that little slot position. So yeah, I'm with you though. I'm lockstep. We both in lockstep. They need to upgrade the receiver position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think another guy too. You mentioned the tight end position. This is a name that people are going to hear a lot throughout the process because he was he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school a few years ago. Kind of got lost in the sauce, transferred 2 or 3 times. I think Brew McCoy was at Tennessee. Brew started at USC. He started at USC. Super athletic guy, really doesn't have a position. I think ultimately at the next level, he's going to be a tight end. He kind of outgrew the wide receiver position, but he has a ton of versatility. He's one of those guys that's too much something for everybody. He's too big and too athletic for cornerbacks to play him in the slot, or even safeties for that matter. He's too fast for linebackers. But he's just not refined enough to play either position consistently. But if he lands with the right offense, he's a guy that could turn out to be a threat, I think, at the next level. But all right, we didn't got drunk off the draft, man.
I just want to say one tight end I do like. I'm just gonna say this and I'm done. I love Terrence Ferguson, man, from Oregon. I do. I think the guy, he reminds me of Kellen Winslow a little bit, like a young Kellen Winslow.
Wait a minute, which Kellen Winslow?
No, not
the okay one.
Yeah, I mean the son was good with Jeremy Shockey and all that. I'm gonna say I don't remember the
things went dark for him.
Yeah, I ain't that old. I'll be 50. I ain't that old. But yeah, I like Terrence Ferguson, man, from Oregon. 6'5", 255, runs a 4.7, mean as hell, just a mean streak. I really he'd be good for the Lions, just to throw that out there. I like Tyler Warren too, but I think Tyler Warren maybe
Tyler's stock is soaring right now.
Yeah, and Colston Loveland, Harbaugh drafted this guy. He's going to Harbaugh. You know that. It's already written down in stone. That's where he's going to go. So just throw it out there.
All right, let's hit the defense real quick. What the final roster on defense looks like, it ain't all that pretty, man. So Josh Paschal, Pat O'Connor, Mitchell Agood, Levi Onwuzurike, Broderick Martin, DJ Reader, Miles Adams, Zadarius Smith, Al Kadeem Muhammad, and Jonah Williams. That's our
Yeah.
final depth chart of defensive linemen.
Oof.
Linebackers, Jack Campbell, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, Anthony Pittman, who always seem to be around the last 3 years, Alexander Zaloni, Ben Neiman, Trevor Nowalski, Brian Branch, Amik Robertson, Kendall Vildor, another polarized name around here, Terrion Arnold, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Morris Norris, who actually got re-signed recently for $840,000, matter of fact. That was a signing that just slipped under the media for some odd reason. And Kirby Joseph. So nothing like what we expected.
Yeah.
Levi Broderick. Broderick isn't a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, but he's another guy who could be on the chopping block. Pat O'Connor's listen, man, and you know this better than I know it. This organization needs to figure out, okay, we were good for the first 4 years, actually, outside of the first year and a half.
Yeah.
Since the first year and a half, we've been kind of like coasting, kicking ass. You can't just keep going out there with the same old, thinking that that's going to continue to be what gets you where ultimately you want to be. We see how the Eagles handle business. We see how the Chiefs handle business. Do you think this organization has the ability to cut ties with some of the people that they love? Because I think a lot of organizations, they reach that crossroads where, okay, you got us here, but we got to leave you at the bus station because we trying to get here.
Yeah.
Do they have the ability to do it? Because it seems to me this fan base has a love affair with Dan Skipper. They have a love affair with Graham Glasgow.
Yeah.
They have a love affair with Kevin Zeitler, and they just view these as guys that we just can't do better than. Guys that just have to be here.
Good question.
They don't. I mean,
nope. It's time. Like you said, well, we've never been in this position before. You know what I'm saying? Now we're good. Okay. Like you said, we could move on. We can move on. There's no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? The answer is Joe's question.
Right.
I would re-sign Carlton Davis. I would. I think he's got something. He brought something to the table. I thought he fought hard. He battled every week. Problem is he gets hurt a lot. I like Carlton Davis. I thought that he was better than I thought he was going to be honest with you.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely. And then obviously familiar with. We got to remember now, Kelvin Shepard's the new defensive coordinator. So, I don't know if we're gonna play more man or same. I don't know his philosophy on that. That might change. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's more so what defense we choose to go with, what's going to be our identity on defense, it predicated on if he stays or if we re-sign him, not stay, but re-sign him or we let him walk. I don't know, man. Levi, Joe, see you later. I've seen enough, man. You know what I'm saying? I just, you can't keep dangling the carrot out there and just not produce, man. It's just, I wouldn't have any problem. I would rather put it this way. I would rather keep Malcolm Rodriguez on the squad than him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just want guys who produce, man, and he doesn't produce at all to me. Man, and Ralphie, I mean, I could see where people would say, because I was talking to somebody today and they said they wouldn't re-sign Carlton Davis. I beg to differ. I think
it depends on the money. I mean, I can't outright just say no. I mean, now the market for him is going to dictate that he's probably.
That's right.
Because his contract is. Let me take a look at that, man. I think his contract is still ranked 13th out of 280 some odd corners in the league.
Yeah.
So you're talking about somebody, and we heard rumors about the Rams being interested in him all season. You're talking about somebody looking at Carlton and say, okay, you know what? You went to Detroit. You had a decent season. He had actually a pretty good season. Did he get beat? Yeah, he got beat, but he's big, athletic, long, and he competes. He's one of those corners where, okay, he'll get beat, but he'll follow it up with a punch out. Or he'll follow it up with an interception.
Yeah,
he'll follow it up with a big time PBU or something. Yeah, so dude, if we look at the market for these corners now, he might be a 17, $18 million corner. As crazy as that may sound to
Oh
Lions
man,
fans,
man.
on the market, we talking about market value.
Yeah, I get it.
Joe just put a listen. It's already came out. The Rams willing to pay him. Now I don't know how much the Rams willing to pay him. Now, me personally, I would want to have him back. I really would. If you look at what he was honestly able to do in year one, and like I said, in this game right here, he came up big. People, talk about how the kicker, Jake Bates, he made a big ass kick,
Yeah,
which won the game.
yeah.
Carlton Davis made two of the most game changing plays in that game, maybe the two most game changing plays in this game. If you look at the cornerback room, he was our best corner this season, period. Not Terrion, not Rakestraw. Didn't get anything from him. Not Melifonwu.
Yeah.
Not Vildor. Him and Amik Robertson were our best corners this season.
Yeah.
And he outperformed exactly what we thought we were going to get from him. Now, if you listen to some of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcasts, they were kind of like glad to see him go because he had the hip injury prior to this previous year. And they kind of viewed him as damaged goods, and they laughed at us for taking him. He played well for us. Yeah, and he's another guy that you could make the argument, if he would have played, things might have been different in a couple games. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get it. And like you said, I find it, you could go with another man. If you're going to start another corner, I don't have a free agent list in front of me. You know what I'm saying? I know that list ain't too flattering. I know that. I know I looked at it already because I always try to look ahead sometimes. And sorry, everybody, I don't have it in front of me, like who the free agent corners are. But what I was going to say was, I don't know if you're the Lions, if you're going to want to go into next season. Obviously, I think Terrion Arnold's going to be better. I mean, I really do, man. I for everybody that wants to just give up on him, I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is maybe Rakestraw. I mean, that's a big ask, I think, to ask Rakestraw to start all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? I just think that he needs to just get some reps. So let's just say, if we draft a Will Johnson, you know what I'm saying, or I'm just picking guys that
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter, Zay Alexander, or Maxwell Harrison, or you know what I'm saying? It's just guys out there that you can get. But man, put it this way, they would have to be a shutdown corner right away. And you know how hard that is. So to answer your question, I think we kind of don't have a choice but to bring a veteran in. You know what I'm saying? If it's not Carlton Davis, who's it going to be? You know what I mean?
I think people got to get past the money. The money is different today. You may look at Carlton Davis and feel like he's not an 18, 19, $20 million a year corner, but maybe for us he is. Maybe for the Rams he is. Because you brought up a valid point. Like, if you don't bring him back, what the hell else you gonna do?
You better figure it out. Because look at our division, bro. Ben Johnson is coming. Like, not that Ben Johnson, but what I'm saying is, I think they're going to be offensive predicated. You know what I'm saying? And he know what we got over here. So I think you need to kind of switch it up a little bit. Don't try to sell him a rookie and Terrion Arnold. And, that's my guy, man. Agent Zero, my guy. He fell down the stairs last week, too. I'm a hard.
I don't get that either, man. I don't like that, man. He seemed too goofy to me, man.
Yeah, it just
like, why would you even put that? Like, why do we care? Of all things, man.
Yeah. I just think that you got to get that situation rectified, man. You know what I'm saying? Because again, just like we've been saying, this division is going to be scoring. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to, just blitzing ain't gonna work all the time. You know what I'm saying? We got away with, we beat the Vikings in week 18. We blitzed the hell out of them and kind of put our guys on the island, and they performed. You know what I'm saying? But man, it's going to be interesting. Rakestraw is the wild card, Walt, because if
I don't like this, Joseph.
Yeah, if he can get and Joe's right. I mean, Rakestraw is the guy that's kind of a wild card. We don't know what he's gonna bring. We know he's an agitator. You know what I'm saying? He gets up in your face.
Competes.
Competes, but we don't know. So you would think they would add to that core by via free agency. That's what I would say if Carlton Davis don't come back. But I want Carlton back. So
Yeah, yeah. I
uh,
don't think they would. I don't think they want to get even younger because, like you
mm-hmm.
said, Carlton Davis, not Carlton Davis, but Terrion's young. He's got a season of experience, but considering what he's going up against in year two, he's still got to develop more experience. Rakestraw didn't really play for us at all this season for the most part.
Yeah.
Meek competed. He's coming off a broken arm, but I think Meek still has a ceiling. Um, if he winds up starting outside, I'm not happy. So we got
Yeah.
to do something, whether we bring back Carlton Davis or we do hit the free agent market and we sign a vet. Because, like I said, I don't think, considering what they have on the back end of safety, I don't think they really want to get younger at corner.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that they won't draft a corner, because I do believe they'll draft a corner this year based upon how the draft ultimately falls for them.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen in the first round, though.
No, I'd be shocked, man. That'd be somebody shocked.
Like I said, unless they traded up for Travis Hunter.
And then and then what I wonder, I just got a feeling. I don't know, man. Just quote me right now. What it was today, January 28th. I think Chicago gonna get Ashton Jeanty, man. And I think he's gonna be their Jahmyr Gibbs, man. And if the Bears get Jeanty, they're gonna try to run the same stuff the line. And look out, man. I just hope, it's just not a situation where Ben Johnson's so familiar with this team that he knows they say, hey, we're gonna get Jeanty because we know they weak in some areas up the middle, and just like not responding to play action and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. This is gonna be a hell of a chess match, this draft. I think it starts with free agency, then the draft, obviously. But
it's the ante's been upped a whole lot now.
yeah.
Now you do directly, whether they admit it or not, whether Minnesota admit it or not, whether the Bears, Lions, Packers admit it or not.
Yeah.
It's competition, man.
Yeah.
Y'all all drafted against each other, So, so what about Afiatu Melifonwu? This is
my guy.
Your guy, my guy, everybody's guy.
I'm ready to move on from Iffy, man. I just don't. This is what I don't like. The last 2 years, I don't like not playing, and then week 15 behind door number 1 to save the day is Iffy Melifonwu. I'm not, that don't sit well with me. Just not playing the whole season, and then he's coming in through door number 1 and gonna save the day. I know you gotta have guys at your disposal, at certain times of the season because injuries happen, or certain players dictate their playing time, right? I'm just ready to move on from Melifonwu. He's like Onwuzurike. It's just like you can't just say he's going to be there because he's not. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I always include him the last 3 years, right? But then magically in August he's around. During training camp he's around first. Then August he's around. And then the first game to see he's nowhere to be found. It's like, where did Melifonwu go? You know what I'm saying? Joe, he is good. I agree. He is good. But I'm just ready to move on, man. That's just me. He's one of the guys I've been on the fence about, him and Levi. I'd rather get 2 new guys in here. You know what I'm saying? That's going to play that position with the size. Yeah, I like everything he brings. What's the guy from San Francisco, Hufanga? I think Hufanga's a free agent. I would love to bring him in and take Melifonwu's spot. You know what I'm saying? Just somebody, man. I think Hufanga's got an injury bug too. You know what I'm saying? But it's just Melifonwu's not available, man. You can't count on him. So,
now I get it. You and I, man. You and I, since prior to the draft, to the Lions even drafted him.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of his at Syracuse. Syracuse played him as a boundary corner, press, a lot of cover 3 zone.
Yeah.
And he flourished. I remember going to that preseason game against Buffalo, his rookie season, and seeing his feet and saying to myself, okay, he's too heavy footed. He struggles in transition going east and west. He may be better at safety.
Mhm.
And it seems like every time over the past couple seasons, you thought he had a breakthrough, teases you a little bit, he got hurt. And nobody wants to get hurt. I'm pretty sure he wants to play out there. I think some of it is just physical for some of these players. Some people's bodies, like Cam Newton brought this up, some guys' bodies, it don't matter what they physically look like, how big they are, how small they are. Some guys' bodies just aren't built for the NFL to take the pressure of the NFL. Just like in high school, you can be great in high school. Some guys going from that high school level to the college level physically can't handle it. And the reason I say that about Melifonwu is the fact that his brother was the same exact way. He got drafted by the New England Patriots. Big time, great athlete.
Yeah.
Never could stay healthy. Every single season he was healthy. So maybe it's just something genetic with him. I don't know. But like I said, I've been supporting this guy from day one.
Me too.
And you look at when he came back, he found a new position. And I'm glad Aaron Glenn lets me know that I'm not too off with some of the things I do see with this team defensively as well as offensively. But he took him when he came back and he moved him to free safety. I mean, he moved him to strong safety. He started playing him closer to the line of scrimmage. And granted, that was also when they were still playing Brian Branch at nickel last year. So they were starting to use him as a joker. He was starting to blitz more. He had a couple sacks, I believe, in that Minnesota game. He'll get a pick every now and then. They finally figured out how to unlock him, and then boom, hurt again. Training camp, hurt. He'll be back in 2 days, hurt. He'll be back in 2 weeks, hurt.
Yeah.
And I get it. They say, he's a guy that really wants to come back again, but it gets to a point in time where, like Ralph said, you got to have these difficult conversations with people.
Mhm.
Listen, I love you. I care about you. I want you to be able to take care of your family. I want you to make all the money you can make. I want you to be as successful as your talent dictates you should be. But bro, it ain't working here.
Yeah.
You may need a change of scenery.
I can see him going to the Jets. I can see him going with Aaron Glenn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It hurts because he's such a weapon. And you and I was just so eager all season. He'll be back. Physical. He'll be back. He'll be back in 2 weeks. And he just never came back.
Never came for back. 2 years. It's been like that. Remember, Walt, last year, not this year, last year when we won the division, I never forget this game, man. It was on Christmas Eve. Remember when they had won the division in Minnesota and he had an interception sealed the game. And that was his first game he had played in like 2 months. You know what I'm saying? He just magically appeared and made the biggest play of the game, you know what I'm saying, last year. So it
felt like he wasn't unlocked, and he was never really unlocked. He was making smart plays. And it's not like he was just making athletic plays. Like he was getting picks and he was timing up blitzes, and like it felt like, damn, like, okay, we got another versatile safety with Branch. Are we about to be unstoppable? Nope. didn't happen that way. So it's rough, man. Do the money matter to you, or you just want to move on from him completely?
Now, okay, let me this twofold question. Like, let's just say, if you telling me if he gonna be available, you know what I'm saying? Now, all the injury shenanigans the last 2 years, if you telling me if he's gonna be available, yes, I want him back. You know what I'm saying? If I could say, or at least out of 17, can you give me 10 games? Can you give me 12? You know what I'm saying? I don't ask for much. Like, give me 12.
I don't ask for much.
Can you give me 12 games? Then yeah, of course I want him back. Because I like the physicality, I like the size, I like he can support the run and pass. You know what I'm saying? So we kind of need that kind of guy. But I mean, that's where I'm at with him, though. I really am. It's frustrating, man. It's really frustrating.
Bargaining with this man in the conference room, like, listen. Yeah. Every extra game you can give me, I got another meal right here.
Yeah, I got a stack for you. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but this a hard one. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, this has got to be, this is a war room talk as far as the roster goes, because like you said, man, are you going to keep, John Kaminsky around? You're going to keep Skipper around. You're going to keep, Josh Pascal is one of the guys where yesterday today kind of changes by the day. But I think it's something there with Pascal. I really do. I think that Josh
Depth.
Pascal, when he's unlocked with Hutch, and I think when Marcus Davenport, those couple games he played, man, they had something cooking, man.
They're
They
better.
really did. They had something on that left side, and it was like after Davenport got hurt, Hutch got hurt, it was like Pascal's a non-factor, but Pascal can excel next to somebody else. I really do. I think he'd be a menace, man. So I'm keeping Pascal around, even though I don't think he's in jeopardy or anything like that. But I'm definitely keeping him around. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one thing I will say about Melifonwu too is that he ain't had a big deal. He ain't had a second deal. It's all up for him now. He only had a base salary of, was it 1.2? Let me take a look. He had a base salary of 1.1, no, 1.19, 1.2 million. He only had a prorated signing bonus of 210,000, and his cap number was only 1.4 million. So if you are going to give him a raise, it ain't gonna be that much damn of a raise. He ain't about to get 8 mil a year, and he did say he want to come back. So now it's like, okay, well, how bad do you really want to come back? Because there's 31 other teams in the NFL. There's a bunch of other fan bases around now, content creators of these other fan bases that's making the same kind of content. Your trash is the next man's treasure. So there's other fan bases that say, you know what? We'll take Ifeatu Melifonwu. We'll give him 6 mil. I wouldn't give him 6 mil. I'm not giving him a $5 million raise for somebody that can't even give me 5 games. So, like I said, it comes down to how bad does he want to stay. Same thing with, I ain't gonna say the same thing with Mosley, because Mosley has shown us nothing at all. So there's really no reason to even bring Mosley back.
Yeah.
But Melifonwu, he's interesting because you ask the question, okay, well, does Ben Johnson want him in Chicago?
Yeah.
So does
guys
AG
gonna move around?
Yeah. So, all right, let's get to some more of these free agents because, like I said, we don't have a ton of them for the most part. So I'm gonna go through these. Whenever I get to a name that you want to discuss, and we can go into their current situation. Well, all of these guys are unrestricted free agents. The only 2 guys who aren't unrestricted free agents are Craig Reynolds and Shane Zylstra and Coyote Awasika, and we don't have to worry about nobody wanting to give us any type of compensation for those guys. No insult to them. But all right, so we already went through Carlton Davis. We're looking at Marcus Davenport at 29 years old.
Yeah.
Kevin Zeitler, 35 years old. John Kaminsky, that's a name we haven't heard in quite a while. He's 30 right now. Emmanuel Mosley, who's 29. I think it's all pretty much finished for him, though. 29, 2 ACL injuries. Haven't played but 1 possession in the last 2 years. Levi and Wuzarike, who we already discussed. Khalil Dorsey, Kendall Vildor, Allen Robinson, Kyle Pico, Ifeatu Melifonwu, who we already discussed, Dan Skipper, Pat O'Connor, Al Kadeem Muhammad, Tim Patrick, Zeke Turner, Craig Reynolds, Ben Neiman, Derek Barnes, Anthony Pittman, Jonah Williams, Shane Zylstra, Coyote Awasika, Miles Adams, Trevor Nowalski, Mitchell Agood, Connor Galvin, Michael Neese, and Maurice Norris, who actually re-signed. Don't everybody speak at once.
Yeah,
I know those too many sexy names out there, but anybody who really sticks out to you as, you know what, that's somebody I want part of this team moving forward.
Yeah, I wrote down, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I wrote down 6 guys that I would bring back. Okay. First, Marcus Davenport. I know he gets hurt, probably gonna get hurt next year. And I would never not draft another D. There has no what I'm doing right now, it wouldn't stop the draft process. Okay. So that's number 1. Marcus Davenport, absolutely, I'm bringing him back. You know what I'm saying? He would be cheap as hell. You know what I'm saying? He's what, 20? I think he's only 28. I think he wrote it down. I think he's 28. Marcus Davenport, I just like what I saw with him, man. You know what I'm saying? So him, Carlton Davis, we just talked about. Khalil Dorsey, I do think he's an asset to this team, man. Special teams. He'll come in and play spot duty in the secondary, kick return a little bit to an extent. Khalil Dorsey, just my fourth guy, just what Ralphie said. Al-Qadim Muhammad, absolutely want him on my roster. You know what I'm saying? That this is a guy that just show it. I like when players face adversity and they back against the wall and you see how they react, okay, during different things. Now, it was weird to me how he barely even played the last game against, the last couple games seemed like Muhammad barely played, but when Aaron Glenn called his number, man, Al-Qadim Muhammad produced. I really do like the energy. You got to figure with everybody healthy, he would have a different look. Him and Pascal, the two guys that would really, be an asset. You know what I'm saying? I think for this team. So, yeah, Al-Qadim Muhammad. And then I mentioned Tim Patrick. I would definitely bring him back for same role. And then Kevin Zeitler, it's either or. I mean, he's not that great. Like, oh my God, we got to replace Kevin Zeitler. But he did do some good things. I thought he was dominant at times in the running game. He can't pass block too. I'd like to get a little bit younger, but I know where we headed with this team as far as this offensive line. Listen, I think this will be a big elephant in the room next year. And like you said, everybody wants to say how great this offensive line is. And man, when it goes quick. I'm telling you, it goes. What we could be we could have an offensive line with 3 Pro Bowlers to struggling to keep our quarterback upright next year. I really could see that happening, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Decker's a little bit long in the tooth. I think Graham Glasgow, I've seen enough with Glasgow. He got dominated the last month of the season, in my opinion. He was terrible. And Kevin Zeitler, he was okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, you could sell me veteran, leadership, banged up at the end of the season, probably had some injuries that he wasn't saying as much, and his age, I like the age because he is a veteran that will, be able to be counted on, during the season. So I won't have to have Zeitler back, but I will at a decent rate. So, I think that those are the guys, the 6 guys. I got Davenport, Carlton Davis, Khalil Dorsey, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Tim Patrick, Kevin Zeitler. Those are the guys I would bring back. You know what I'm saying? If I had a choice, if I had the money, it was within what I want to do via free agency as well, seeing what's available there, and then obviously the draft coming up. So, yeah, but absolutely a no-brainer is Muhammad and Tim Patrick and Davenport on my list. Those are the 3 guys. If I had to choose just 3 guys on this list, I would take my chances with Davenport again. It would be Muhammad and it would be Tim Patrick. You know what I'm saying? And let's be honest. I mean, while I think we'll have some technical difficulties at this time, but like the offensive line could become an issue. You know what I'm saying? As great as they are, they ain't the Eagles, man. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles just really got some pillar pieces, that Juergens at center took over for Kelsey. I think that's another spot the Lions, you might want to get Frank a replacement. I'm not saying you're going to replace him right now, but man, I'm telling y'all, let's not get just rested on our laurels and say these guys are going to be great for the next 5 years, because that's not how the NFL works, man. You know what I'm saying? Penei Sewell will be great. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he'll be a constant Pro Bowler mainstay when he finally turns to the left side. But we have to get some more talent, man. We seen with Christian Mahogany. You know what I'm saying? They did take Giovanni Manu last year, late round. I don't know how he fits in. Maybe he is fitting into their plans going into next year. You know what I'm saying? But I do think they have to get another, like you've been saying it since the beginning of the season, that You got to get some more talent, young talent. I mean, not a seventh round pick. No disrespect to a seventh rounder, but what I'm saying is you need to get a Zach Frazier like from last year. A guy that's going to be, like a Darnell Wright or Jackson Powers Johnson or the next, and this offensive line class, Walt, I think is better than last year in my opinion. I think it's some really guys to be had out there that the Lions can get that could uh compete with the Phillies. Because now listen, Lions, we not going backwards, right? So if we going forward, we got to stay relevant. We got to stay with those teams, right? So got to keep the offensive line strong, man. No, by any means necessary.
Nah, I agree 1,000%.
Yeah.
Um, you just can't stay stagnant, especially when it's not greatness. Now, if these guys, you talking about Dan Skipper, like it's no different from basketball when fan bases fall in love with glue guys
Yeah.
and they want to see glue guys get overpaid and they feel like we don't need any outsiders because we got our guys right here and I love my glue guys and Skipper can't go anywhere because he listen, you can keep thinking that way all you want and you're going to stay stagnant and
Mm-hmm.
Philly going to mess around and lap us. You have to realize when it's time to make those difficult decisions. Everybody can't go just because you like them or just because they came through for you in a tight spot.
Yeah.
Just because you came through for me in a tight spot because we were missing some players on defense or whatever, you had a good game where you was running off adrenaline or whatever, I can't give you a big contract based off of that. And I just think that it's kind of dishonest for some fans to sit up and see what we have on the offensive line and genuinely
Yeah.
look you in your face and tell you that they feel like we can't upgrade from that.
Yeah.
Now, does it all come down to the money? Sure, because we're talking about aging offensive linemen as well. There's not going to be a big market for Graham Glasgow. It's not going to be a big market for Dan Skipper. It's not going to be a big market for Kevin Zeitler. Zeitler's already bounced around between Baltimore and the New York Giants. He knows how the league works. And this is a really good offensive line class. So a lot of teams will easily view it as why pay you $7 million a year, $8 million a year, $9 million a year, or $5 million a year when I can get this rookie who has way more upside than you. He's more physically talented. He's not a finished product. He doesn't have all the wear and tear on his body that you have, and I could pay him substantially less.
Yeah.
It just makes too much sense, man. And like I
Right.
said, if you stay stagnant for too long, you'll get lapped in the NFL, and that window will close. I don't think the window's closed right now because every year is different. But if you don't consistently try to get better,
Yeah.
more than anything else, we got to figure out a way to reinvent ourselves. Like I said, this is year 5. We understand what the defense was within that 4-2-5 underneath in that 4-4 front, what it was under AG for the whole time he was here. We understand what the offense was with Ben Johnson, but that's gone now. We can't just keep going out, treading out the same plays. The philosophy's gone as well. So we don't know what this team is going to look like. We have to figure out a way to reinvent ourselves. Because
Yeah.
also, you ever notice the teams that beat us, that really dominate us, they make it look like we got handcuffed and they just took everything away from us, especially offensively.
Yeah.
Like when teams handcuff us offensively, it looks very, very embarrassing. Baltimore did it. Washington did it. Tampa Bay kind of did it earlier in the season.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good, man. So I think this offense, the talent that you have is good enough to play outside of the offense that it played in the last 3 years. It just comes down to what is the offensive scheme going to look like this season? And is Jared Goff physically capable of thriving outside of a system that hasn't been catered to him for the last 4 years? Like, what if we need you to do a little bit more 7-step drop, get a little bit more max protect going on?
Yeah.
What if we need you to make more downfield throws? Are you capable of it?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that have to be reevaluated over this offseason, man. and that offensive line is one of them.
Yeah.
Because like things can go like Taylor Decker's a good player, good left tackle, but he's getting beat up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Penei Sewell's the only consistent rock we have.
Yeah. You gotta get some more talent, man. Like you said, man, because when it goes quick. You know what I'm saying? Unannounced. You know what I'm saying? I mean, 1 minute we can be thinking coming into a season like, man, that's our strong suit. You know what I'm saying? Offensive line is where we gonna flourish, and then come to find out, week 1 or week 2, it's gonna be a long year if we can't protect the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing, because we getting beat, constantly. So I can see it happen. I done seen it happen, with good teams. You know what I'm saying? Like like Dallas Cowboys. I mean, there's just one team that came to mind who was always known for a strong offensive line. The likes of Tyron Smith and Frederick,
Travis Frederick, Zach Martin.
Zach Martin, and those guys, man, and they were solid for 8-9 years. You know what I'm saying? Then the minute it seemed like on cue, the minute Zeke Elliott, started
Hit
to slow
that wall.
down.
Yep.
And it just seemed like it all went downhill.
Jason Witten retired.
Yeah, you stay with them guys too long, man. You know what I mean? Without replenishing that spot. So, I just think it's paramount that the Lions, are serious about getting a center. That's going to be the understatement, because even Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, not Travis Kelce, said that as much. Like, Jurgens is a perfect guy to take over my spot. You know what I'm saying? He knew that he was going to give that spot to Jurgens. You know what I'm saying? And he knew that he was going to be the next center line. I think that's what needs to happen here in Detroit. You know what I mean? As far as just getting a guy that's going to take over from Frank when Frank ready to retire. That's all. You don't want to put a guy in there. You don't want to be putting Graham Glasgow in there. And you know what I'm saying? Week 2, and Frank can't go because Frank, you know what I'm saying? You want a guy that know what the hell he's doing when he get in there. Not Dan Skipper, not, just gimmicking and just throwing people out there. That's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. Glasgow, Zeitler, like there were certain games, and it's going to happen. I'm not coming down on them hard for this, because at the end of the day, you're going to have, as an offensive line, regardless how good you are, there's going to be some bad matchups. That Houston game, much credit to Houston, but the difference in like athleticism and talent on the interior with Houston along that defensive line against our offensive line, that's kind of what was glaring to me. And there were just numerous games this season where Glasgow and Zeitler, the age and the lack of athleticism kind of showed, because it happens, man. You know what I'm saying? These tackles, these guards, a lot of these defensive linemen, a lot of these offensive linemen, they played tight end in high school. Some of them shot put it. They athletes. Mm-hmm. They were all state wrestlers. They ran track. These ain't your run of the mill type of defensive tackles or offensive tackles and guards anymore. In some of these games, the discrepancy in athleticism was just too glaring. Nobody's saying that, okay, you got to put these guys out the pasture or whatever, but the idea that we have to bring them back and we can't do any better, we can still bring them back, but still create some competition in training camp. That's why I feel like no position to me is off limits. We talked about running back. If the right running back is there, 6th round, we got 2 7th-round picks. If a guy falls in the 7th round, 5th round, 6th round, or whatever, even though we don't have a 5th right now, that's still also a position that could be upgraded talent-wise, depth chart-wise. Because now you're at a point in time where you're good. And you want to get to that next level of being really damn good and being a consistent thorn in the ass of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles not going to slow up. And that's what I think these Lions fans that are content with their guys, and we want to keep everything in house and we don't want any free agents, just keep our guys around. Philly not doing that. Whether Philadelphia wins the Super Bowl in 2 weeks or they lose, you know what Howie Roseman going to be doing? Making moves to make sure Philly keep their foot on our throats next season too. So while you talking about Skipper and Zeitler and Glasgow are the key guys to bring back,
Mm-hmm.
they talking about drafting the next Pro Bowlers.
Mm-hmm.
They out there drafting Quinyon Mitchells, and they out there drafting Cooper DeJeans.
Nolan Smith, Nolan Smith, and
Right, Jalen Carter
Jalen Carter,
and
Jordan Davis, and man, it's just phenomenal. You know what they
trading for AJ Browns and spending a top 20 pick on Devontae Smith. Like, that's the type of moves they out there making. Philly ain't gonna hold you up.
Yeah.
So for the Lions fans, I understand this fan base isn't used to winning. They're not used to this.
Yeah.
But if, like I said, if you don't keep your foot on the gas, man, this window will close itself on you if you're not careful. But it's if you go through those free agents, man, I think Davenport, the sack numbers weren't there, and I get it, but the impact was there in the run game. Once him and Aiden Hutchinson both went down, it was over with. It was over with as far as the interior, not the interior, but the exterior, the perimeter run defense. It was gone. And then if you look at Levi, you and I were very high on Levi. He was my number one defensive tackle, my number 1 3 technique coming out of Washington. But bro, you had what? 16 games, 15 games, you gave us half a sack in 16 games. Can't do it. Levi's a guy that I said from day one, he's a 4-3-3 tech. You put him next to a space eater, a guy that at the nose, or a guy at the 1 tech who plays some 2 tech that can eat up some double teams. That way you can take a guy like Levi and Wuzurike and make him anchor your actual interior pass rush behind him. They drafted him initially when he got here to be a 3-4 outside DN. Don't do that. Don't do it. Problem is this, though, is he salvageable if you're another team? Because sometimes you can, as a defensive player or a player in general, you can spend your first 4 years of your career, 5 years of your career, 3.5 years of your career playing in the wrong absolute system. And it can kind of like mentally destroy you. So I don't even know if he's any good anymore left, but it doesn't look good when you have the opportunity, because this was his first year to have real opportunity, and to only shell out half a sack or 1 sack in 16 games is it's not very promising.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson led the team in sacks, bro, and played 4 games. Do you know what I'm saying? That tells
it's not good.
That tells a story right there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, man. And I do think, championship moves, man. I agree, and I think this is the year. You might want to, ratchet it up, man. Like the talent wise, free agency, trade. Anything that you can do to make this team better, because I do think, it's like you just said, the window's not closed. I mean, it's not over by no means, but like you said, it can become. I'm just telling you right now, the offensive line is the lifeblood of this team, man. And if that offensive line start to falter, then
especially with that quarterback that can't move worth a damn.
Goff at quarterback. Yeah. Hey, that it don't matter who you got. It don't matter if you got Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery in the backfield if that offensive line ain't getting no traction, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's imperative that we keep it up. And I think for the most part, I do trust Brad Holmes. I do think this is the first time where I don't think. I don't take that back, because I was going to say this draft may dictate like where he's going to go in the first round, but I don't think that matters. I think Brad Holmes, he sticks to his board pretty, from the last 3 drafts he's done. Well, I think we can pretty much say Brad Holmes, he likes somebody. He not going to alter his board, put it that way. I think he's got players in mind that he wants. Okay. So I'm going to just say this. I hope the offensive line is on that list, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we do have to, alter that spot a little bit, and the defensive end. I mean, I do think Marcus Davenport is a guy, we both kind of want him back, but they do need some young talent, man, along that D line as well. Like you said, not Broderick Martin, with all due respect, you know what I'm saying? Enrique Pascal, the only guy I'm bringing back that out of the young guys that we've groomed in our system, he's the only guy to me is showing promise. Obviously, Makai Wingo. Now we kind of forgot about him. Yeah, and Makai
Definitely,
played
yeah.
good. I mean, he played like he did some good things out there. So I think he is part of the fold. You know, you may not have to draft two guys, maybe just get one. You know, maybe get you another developmental player, however you want to do it. But man, I think that the positions that people think that we straight in, pass catching tight end, I would get another guy, offensive line, go from there. Linebacker, you know what I'm saying? It's a guy I was gonna ask you about before we get out of here is what's the kid from Texas Tech, Walt? Nick Squirton. Yeah, Texas
Oh, from
A&M. You
Texas
like him?
A&M, Nick Scorton.
Yeah, I think that he all right
Yeah,
too. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I like him. The whole problem is that he's physically similar to what we already have. You know, he's another undersized edge. Now he's more physically talented as a pass rusher. But he does play the ball and he does play the run really well for a defensive end his size. But he's not the only one out of A&M. They got three of them that's gonna probably go within probably the top 70 picks. Him,
Oh yeah.
Shamar Stewart. Who's the other kid?
Okay.
Shamar Turner. Yeah, Shamar Turner as well. We're gonna get into those guys, but
Okay.
it's
Uh-huh.
three of them. It's three of them. I think
Okay. I
Yeah,
gotta look
Shamar
at them
Stewart
things.
is the one that's Shamar Stewart, I think, is 6'2", 85. So he kind of fits that mold, that Marcus Davenport mold, the big power edge defensive end that they like, that can power rush as well as run contain, athletic enough to get out to the sideline and make plays in the run game. So
Yeah.
look
One
at
guy.
us. We
Yeah.
getting
One other
all into
guy I
the
wanted to
draft.
mention. I heard one of the gentlemen on the ticket talking about it today. And I did look at the first mock draft, and lo and behold, he was picked us at 28. Was I know you know him, Ed Rutcher from Marshall. I think his name Mike Green. That was the first
Yeah, Mike Green.
mock draft I've seen so
Yeah.
far this year, and they had him pegged to us from Marshall.
Yeah. He's a name
Yeah.
that got hot.
Mm.
Got real hot. One name I'll throw out there, just because of association. This is a guy who you guys are going to hear a lot about over the next few weeks, and that's offensive tackle, left tackle from
Oh
for
yeah.
William and Mary,
Yeah.
Charles Grant. Played next to Kobe Sourcedahl, I believe, the last 3 years. So I'm pretty sure Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are very familiar with him.
Mm-hmm.
To me, on film, he looks like the best from a physical standpoint. I understand that he doesn't have the strength of competition behind him, but he looks like the best offensive tackle naturally in his class coming out of William and Mary. Been kind of a kept secret around the league. His name is picking up a lot of steam. There's word that he could possibly be a second round pick. Some people think he could actually jump into the first round, and that's kind of odd, to say the least, for a guy that went to William and Mary. But that is a name I think Lions fans should be putting on their radar, because he's a guy that could potentially be there for us at pick 28. So Joseph says, I would like to see Brad's big board. We all would. I would like to comment on something that Corey did say earlier about Levi. And that's the thing, man. It's been what? Because Levi was part of the original draft. He was the third round pick.
Second
Matter
round
of
pick.
fact,
That
no,
was
he was the second
Melifonwu
round
draft.
pick, and Aleem was the third round pick, and Aleem turned out to be better than him. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, how many opportunities can we give you to show something? Granted, you can be playing out of position, but like Aaron Donald said, I've been played out of position before. The great ones, not to say he has to be great, the great ones find a way to still make plays. You out there. And for 15 games, 16 games to only give us a half a sack or one sack, it's only so much being played out of position that we can give. Like, if you look at even Jack Campbell spent a large amount of last season being played out of position. Once they realized they can't turn him into a pass rusher, allow him to be what he needs to be out there on the field. Now, ultimately, it took guys sort of to get out of his way. Hate to say it like that, But some guys can't flourish. Some of these guys are so talented, they can't flourish because guys are in their way. We saw what Jameer did once David Montgomery went down and the show was finally his. We saw what Jack was able to do once Anzalone got hurt, Barnes got
Yeah.
hurt earlier in the season, then Malcolm went down, and then it became his show. So I, as much as I want to see Levi succeed, I don't need 3 years. Like, I don't need 4 years to get absolutely nothing from you for me to say, okay, you deserve a spot on this team. Like someone said in the comment section, Pascal, at least he plays. Pascal had injury issues at Kentucky. He had injury issues last year. But at least I can count on him to
Yeah.
give me some versatility from the 2 technique out to the 4 tech, some 5 tech as well. He gives me some versatility. I know what I'm going to get out of Josh Pascal. It may not be much, but I know exactly the amount of
He all
versatility
right.
he brings. Even Makai Wingo, we knew what Makai Wingo was. He broke down physically because he was asked to do too much because all of his protection got hurt ahead of him. All the 300-pounders got hurt. The noses was hurt. Aleem was hurt. So now you ask him to play 2 tech in the NFL. That's not what he should
Right.
be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Makai Wingo, sort of forgotten man too, man. Walt, this draft, I think free agency, coming up, it's gonna be interesting, man, because we will lose some players. You know what I'm saying? So, we may lose some players that we not even thinking we gonna lose. You know what I'm saying? Or like you said, it may be players that might not even get a second contract with this team. You know what I'm saying? That's on this team right now. So Brad Holmes, that's why he gets paid the big bucks to forecast it and foresee it, and Derek Barnes. I mean, I didn't really hit that as funny. I didn't talk about it. Me, just like Melifonwu, Derek Barnes. Yeah,
Late
Derek
bloomer.
Barnes is my guy, man. You know what I'm saying? I'd hate to see him go. I'll put it this way: I wouldn't break the bank for Derek Barnes, and I don't know. What I'm saying is, I think somebody else is going to pay Derek Barnes. You know what I'm saying? I may not be the Lions to be. They might outbid the Lions for his services. Okay, I'll say it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe the Jets or maybe the Bears. Derek ain't showed
Yeah,
nowhere
for
near
me though.
enough. I think for anybody, and then in the contract year for you to go out with the injury he went out with, like he should be back. I'm pretty sure Derek Barnes will be back. It just took him a minute to flourish. But once he got his feet up, it's another guy. Once he got his feet under him, boom, took his feet right back out from underneath him. But yeah, I mean, between Derek and you talking about Melifonwu and you talking about, we talked about Carlton Davis earlier in the show. Man, this would have been. But the whole thing is this, and this is something I think that gives Lions fans a lot of room to be confident with this team moving forward. With all the names we mentioned tonight, Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Carlton Davis, Barnes, Anzalone missing games. With all the guys we had out, this team still won 15 games. So what, if they had everybody healthy, they would have ran the table after the Tampa loss and would have won 16 games? I understand they lost coordinators, but the thing is this, as a Lions fan, I'm going to say this before we get out of here, man. You lost your offensive coordinator. You lost your defensive coordinator. You still have the 9th youngest team in the entire NFL. You have 6 or 7 players who are unanimously considered top 5 at their position on this roster, offense as well as defense. You have the culture setter in place. You have the head coach. You're not one of these organizations out here fishing for a lead man. We got our trigger man. And you have probably, outside of Howie Roseman, because, the Philadelphia Eagles do the most winning, outside of him, you have the best GM in the NFC. You probably have a top 5 GM right now in the entire NFL. So you have a competent ass GM. You have the competent head coach who has the culture set in place, who has his finger on the pulse of this team. And you have one of the most talented rosters in football right now that's going to get even more talented through this draft. So for everybody that's telling Lions fans it's over for y'all Y'all about to go back to sucking. Y'all quarterback ain't nothing. Your quarterback or your head coach a fraud because Ben Johnson was the brains behind everything. Y'all gonna get exposed this season. Your defense was never that. It was all smoke and mirrors. Be able to tell them everything I just told you, because those are people who don't want to see the big picture. People who can't see past the big picture. When you look at the big picture with the Detroit Lions, you see all those things, and you know what you say? Oh, hell no, hold on, wait a minute. Like Mark Schlereth said. Mark Schlereth was the only person I saw on television that said everything I just said. That's why it's not over for Detroit. Talented roster, culture set and head coach, competent GM. That right there is a mixture. We can figure the coordinators out, but we got everything set in place. But as you and I both said, we both agree, this is a massive draft for this organization. We can't have a repeat of 2023. I mean 2024. And the jury's still out on that class with Terrion and all those boys too. I get it, but right now it's not looking that promising, and we need to have a class that's more closer to 2023, 2022 for that matter. So, anything you want to close out these people first, man?
Before we get out of here, it's just, to me, just what you said, man. If I just had to kind of reiterate, what you just said, and it was absolutely right. And then too, I was just gonna say, what just super random said, same thing. I don't think the window's closed, man. You know what I'm saying? I still look at this team and I still see two guys they just signed on, three guys on our offense. Well, four if you want to count Goff's contract that they signed long term. Extensions with Goff, Montgomery, St. Brown, Penei Sewell. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, Aiden Hutchinson is a deal. You would assume Aiden Hutchinson they probably working his deal right now, to be honest with you, to see where the numbers gonna fit. But with him and I just think, like you said, the building blocks are there for this team, man. We're not starting from scratch where we have nothing when Dan Campbell started this whole journey with this team. So I do think there is a level of comfort just knowing that, I just think that we will pick up the pieces, man. You know what I'm saying? We will bounce back, you know what I mean? And just like a Dan Campbell team has always had, and I do think this team going to take it personal, man, going into the offseason. I do believe that. And I don't think Eric Glenn or Ben Johnson, it doesn't matter if they're here or not, as far as that part of it, like the fire burning within this team and getting embarrassed how they did to end the season. Obviously, it's going to be a culture change to an extent because, listen, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn's big loss, man. Those are two big loss. And Antoine Randall, went with Ben Johnson. So he's going to be a guy that's going to, we got to pick up the pieces, man. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that for this team, it may be good. In the long run, we might not hit our stride until October this year. You know what I'm saying? Coming up, Walt. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think with our quarterback and everything like that, continuity, he's got to feel comfortable to function. And I think that it's going to be a learning process with a new offensive coordinator and John Morton. Our schedule is a gauntlet next year. You know what I'm saying? If you look at our early schedule for next year, I think we went 8-0 on the road this year. Boy, that's going to be questioned. That's going to be put in the, next year it may not be 8-0 on the road. Just saying. Not saying we're not going to be good, but it's so many ebbs and flows, man, of a season. And I think that with Lions fans, with people that followed this team, just didn't like how the season ended, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we all felt that we was better than I was about to call them Redskins. We're better than the Commanders, man. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of Jayden Daniels being, the next superstar quarterback, we just felt that we still had enough. But if we was honest with ourselves, we was getting by all year, man. Especially the last 6 weeks. Our defense had a Band-Aid on it, man, and we
was running on
getting
fumes.
away with it. You know what I'm saying? And obviously we were good enough because the offense was constantly putting pressure on the other team. and I think that we was getting away with
Yeah.
it, and we finally just took its toll, man. You know what I'm saying? As far as you know, yeah,
We
man,
was
that
almost there, man, on that quarter
yeah, yeah,
tank of gas.
we almost
We was
almost there, man.
almost
We
there, man.
you know
One
how
more
like
block.
sometimes if you're on the road and you can see the sign that say, you know, wherever your destination 58 miles or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you driving out of town, you see 200 miles and then you walk them miles down, man. And we damn near walked it down to get to New Orleans, man. So, you know, yeah,
And caught a
yeah,
flat.
caught a flat. Yeah, yup. And to answer Joe's question, I think yes, I think Aiden Hutchinson will be, he will be
Yeah.
top. You know what I'm saying? One of the top, if not the highest paid defensive guy. You know, once he gets guy, and that's how it usually goes in the NFL. Like it's always like the next guy will be the highest paid guy. You know what I'm saying? In every position, just about. So and he'll be the highest paid until the next guy coming, like Will Anderson. I think maybe around the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
buddy.
you know, and I think Jameer
Jalen
Gibbs. I read a
Carter.
good article today was saying Gibbs, um, Derrick Henry, and I think it was no Saquon, Bijan. They said these guys saved the running back position. I think Jameer Gibbs gonna be like one of them guys to get paid, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it's always a saying out there you don't pay running backs, but I think yeah,
Well, you know what's gonna happen because they both, and I think this
yeah,
is gonna be historic too. Because I think
mm,
Bijan's the truth too. I like Bijan a lot. Bijan and Jameer, same year, same draft class. Both had because Bijan had 1,400 yards rushing this year.
yeah,
Matter of fact, it's gonna be interesting to see who gets their extension
yeah.
first. Because I don't think Atlanta or Detroit is gonna let either running
No,
back get
no
to that
way,
final
no way.
year. But it's so it's gonna be a little friendly competition between Bijan and Jameer about who signs their
Yeah,
contract
yeah,
first.
that's right. So yeah, that's it, man. I mean, I'm ready for the draft. You know, I'm all in.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
all in. I
offensive
mean,
line.
this is what we do as far as like when the season's over for us. I mean, because we always it's like Christmas, man. We get our wish list and then it just we see it come to pass like from February to March to April. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good 10-week process, man. You know what I'm saying? Of these as play. And this is a good draft. I'm gonna tell you, this draft wall, I think, is more talent on both sides of the ball, if you ask me. I mean, I know you've been doing this way longer than me, but man, when I look at it, I like the offensive line. I like the talent at receiver this year. I think it's a lot of good gets out there, man. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to rush anything, do anything fancy. You know, if you like a guy, and that's the thing too. We know. I mean, when see we talking draft now. I'm talking draft. You know, these GMs go berserk if they get a quarter. Man, I'm telling you, it's gonna be crazy. Teams are gonna have their pick, especially like teams like Detroit, Philly. You know, Washington teams have made the playoffs. The Rams, Tampa. We gonna get a good player. I think all of us because I think the teams that was crappy that's looking for a quarterback they gonna mortgage the whole future to get that quarterback, man. I think that all the every year we see it, every year, you know. So
Just
trade
trade up
up to
for
get him.
Travis Hunter.
What's your read on Travis Hunter? Is he more of a before we get out of here? Is he more of a receiver or a corner? Well, yeah, I
I
do
think
too.
he's a
I
corner.
don't think I think he more rah
Yeah.
rah as a corner. I think he brings. I think he brings what you want him to be at cornerback. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think his natural talent and his skill set is better at corner. He'll be more of a unicorn at corner because if you look at his height, his arm length, his BA, his BA, his ability to stop
Yeah,
and go at that size and that body type is similar to like Tariq Woolen. You don't see taller corners, even though he's
yeah,
not as tall as Woolen. You don't see taller corners with that body type, with the ability to stop and go the way he can stop and go. The ball skills are elite. I'm interested to see what he runs in the 40, if he runs at all. But man, Travis, I've been following Travis since his sophomore year of high school. Travis is he's one of those chosen players.
Mhm.
Like he's legit. I don't think whoever gets him, the only problem I have with Travis is this. If he goes somewhere like Jacksonville, let's say Jacksonville ended up
Yeah.
taking him, or Carolina for that matter. My only fear for him is going somewhere where they view him as a gimmick. They view him as somebody that's going to put asses in seats. They don't really have a plan for him. And he goes somewhere where they view him as some sort of savior, as a corner / wide receiver guy. That's the only problem I have with it. And being a Lions fan, people are going to say, oh, you just saying it because you're a Lions fan. I think the best case scenario for Travis is to go somewhere where he can blend in and not be viewed as the savior.
Mhm.
He comes to a roster like Detroit and he plays in this secondary with that
Yeah.
type of safety help. Now, we don't know what his DB coach is going to be, who it's going to be, but that type of defense in front of him, Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson. Now he can become a great player and be part of a great defense potentially. If he goes somewhere terrible with a terrible defense and they just expected him to be some sort of gadget gimmick savior, it's not going to be the same. But I don't think Travis can fail. And I haven't said this about too many players. I said it about Adrian Peterson. I said it about Calvin Johnson. I think there are some guys that are just too talented and too focused on football to fail. Like this kid does nothing but play video games and study football and watch football. And that's something you want to hear. Same thing about Jeremiah Smith. We can be talking about Jeremiah in another 2 years. The unicorns who have been born and bred and they've been schooled to be pros since they was 12. Jeremiah Smith said he knew what he wanted to be when he was 10. And he's been training to be this. Like the LeBron Jameses of the world, the superstars that have been created. Jeremiah Smith, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter been built for this moment. You know, so like I think he's a generational player. I think he's the only generational player in this draft. If I didn't need a quarterback, I would take him. Definitely. If I didn't need a quarterback, I would definitely take Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Got you.
So if can't nobody tell, I like Travis Hunter.
I like Hunter. That's my son's favorite player. Matter of fact, coming out of college, he was like, "Dad, let me know what team you think Travis Hunter is going to go to." I said, "Okay, son, I'll look into it for you." And then whatever team he go to, that's going to be my son's second favorite team. You know what I'm saying? So,
you think any chance? Any chance, Brad?
That's gonna be interesting.
He pulled one on us.
Maybe.
He may say, "I want a real
game changer, man." And that's what, like Corey was even saying it too in the comments. I think Joe, we all been kind of lockstep. Like this organization just don't need much, but we need something, but we need to write something. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm saying it right, I mean, we don't need a whole hell of a lot, but I do think we need to get to bolster some stuff. I think it was humbling. Losing like we lost, it was humbling. I really do believe that. You know what I'm saying? Because
I think corner's the 1 week spot.
I think linebacker is it's almost like they need to put one more body on the next level of secondary linebacker, defensive end. It's almost like they need one player on each level still. Do you know what I'm saying? And then one guy on the offensive line. That's how I feel. Like, let's just bolster that part up. So we'll get into it. Man. I'm gonna watch a film on your guy from William and Mary. Yeah, he do look like a specimen, though. He looked Charles like Grant. A dude force to be reckoned with.
Definitely. Speaking of that, we're going to get back into the next 4 offensive linemen, the next group of offensive linemen. We got into the first offensive lineman, the first group of 4 offensive linemen this past Saturday. We should be back, Thursday?
Yeah.
To hit on the next 4, because Saturday morning, we got the show Saturday morning, the Senior Bowl show Saturday morning, and we'll be joined by another scout, ran across on LinkedIn. We're going to do some cross content on there, and we're going to get into the Hula Bowl as well as East Shrine Bowl is just going to be passed by that time, and then of course the Senior Bowl Saturday evening, not evening, but 12 o'clock Saturday afternoon. It is 12 o'clock Saturday. It is 12 o'clock Saturday afternoon, right? Or is it like 2:30?
I'm in front of. I thought it was 2:30. I think it's 2:30 on Saturday.
Cool. Right. Either way, neither here nor there. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Hell of a show. Sticking with us for 1 hour and 40 minutes. One Pride.